This is another extra podcast, isn't it? And it's like, I sort of feel like we're at the cinema. You know, do you remember that music? That one.
We've put this together because we keep hearing people saying, oh, there's nothing happening in Independence. And there's loads happening. We are rushed off our feet a lot of the time. There's so much happening. Over the next 3 weekends, there's at least 5 good big events that people have organised themselves on their own time as volunteers, and they're really ambitious, good events. So what we thought we would do is do a little bit like the cinema trailers and give you a little trailer of what these events are, and then we'll put the links underneath if you want to get tickets to go to them or find out more information about them. There's plenty to choose from if you want to do something. And we're certainly going to at least 3 of them.
At least 3 of them. Fantastic. So who do we start off with?
So the first one is the Scottish Currency Group Conference in Dunfermline. The second one is, as far as I know, our first ever independent indie artists art exhibition and sale. And then there is the Scottish CND's conference, definitely one worth going to. And then there's the Independence Forum for Scotland's autumn conference.
Great. So we start off with the Currency Group, and that's us chatting to Ian and Tim, isn't it?
Grab your popcorn and let's go.
Grab your popcorn.
It's that time of year again when we're talking about the Scottish Currency Group Conference, which has become quite a popular part of our calendar.
Last year's conference was a great success as the first in-person conference that Currency Group did. We're going back to Dunfermline. We're not going back to the same place because since last year, Fife College have opened their new conference centre.
Ooh.
So we're going to be one of the first events in the brand new Carnegie Conference Centre, which is just a few hundred metres from the old one. Saturday the 25th, Sunday the 26th of October. Last year, we very much focused on the technicalities of financial regulation, central banks, and, for example, what happened in Iceland and the Faroe Islands. This time, we have the highlight of Professor Thibaut Lorenjoy from Aalborg University in Denmark. He's French, although he now works in Denmark at the Aalborg Business School in the economics department. And he was commissioned a few years ago by the Welsh Senate to write a report for Wales on the currency options for an independent Wales. And we came across the paper that he wrote on that, and were very impressed with the thoroughness and methodical nature with which he'd gone through his brief, and contrasted that with the rather dismal performance that the Scottish Government has come up with. So we asked Professor Lorenjoy a year ago if he would do a similar exercise for Scotland, and he's now in progress of doing that. And at the conference, we will have his interim report on currency options and policy for an independent Scotland. And that's going to concentrate on things which are not very well understood, for example, the sort of exchange rate regimes that you can have as a country, what a country should do to avoid speculative attacks on the currency, and if you do suffer something like that, how you deal with it. So it's not so much specific about Scotland, because that's going to be in his final report next year. So obviously we get a plug in for the 2026 conference already. But I think we can be fairly certain that what he's going to tell us is that just using sterling is not an option for Scotland, that we have to have our own currency. And then he'll give us some sort of guidance on how that may work. So that's going to be a highlight on Saturday afternoon. We have quite a long session for him, and followed by questions and a finger buffet for people to stay on and meet the professor and other speakers informally over a finger buffet and cash bar where GB pounds won't be accepted and you'll have to use Scottish pounds. For the rest of the conference, this year we've set the theme of Vision for Independence. And I think one thing that the Currency Group is quite convinced of is that There's been far too much concentration on process, the endless debates about what will Westminster do, how do we get a referendum, do we want a referendum, do we want a plebiscite election, whatever. That's all process. It's really quite tedious and doesn't actually sell independence to anyone. What we need to persuade the other 50% of Scotland that independence is a good idea is the vision for what happens after Independence Day. And
Yes.
I think the SNP government has done a dismal job in trying to outline what the Scottish government, the SNP government, thinks should or should not happen after Independence Day. So we need a story. We need some sort of, why should the person in Easterhouse or the person in Thurso or indeed on a croft in Skye, why should they vote for independence? How is it going to be different? Why is it going to be better than what they have at the moment? Because if you can't paint that vision and tell that story, then they're not going to vote for it. There's no point having independence if it's just the same. I think that was a mistake in 2014 that I did discuss it with Alex Salmond before he died, but there had been an emphasis then in trying not to upset the pensioners. You didn't want anything too radical, keep the monarchy, keep the GB pound, and no big changes to taxation or anything like that, because you don't want to frighten the horses. And I think that's the wrong approach.
Definitely.
That we actually do need to frighten the horses, so long as we frighten the right ones.
We just need to look at what happened when we voted no. I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
Look at the place.
Tickets are on Eventbrite. Just search for Scottish Currency Group.
We'll put a link underneath of the tickets, so hopefully people can get straight.
You can either buy a ticket for the Saturday, you can buy a ticket for the Sunday, or you can buy both days, or you can buy an online ticket. We also have a student under 22 ticket for £10. And we do actually have a few young people who are coming along to talk to us. So in that context, I'll mention that on the Sunday we have Carl Renton, who's going to be speaking to us on the Sunday about how he thinks independence would address the issues of the sort of under 35s, things like housing, jobs, university, those sort of issues. Also taking part on the Sunday, we have another young person, Cole McHale, and we have some party political leaders coming along. So Colin Fox is going to be talking on Saturday on the Socialist Party's vision. And on the Sunday, Kenny McCaskill is going to give us the Alloa Party vision. I'm hoping we're going to get somebody from Scottish Greens, but we haven't had a confirmation of that at the moment. And we've had a definitive niet from the SNP and the Scottish Government, so they declined to provide anyone to set out their vision, which I'm afraid strikes me as a bit disappointing. It suggests they haven't got one.
Oh, it's a bit of an own goal, isn't it? Oh, dear.
We do have some people who are not really part of the SNP leadership. So Philippa Whitford is going to be talking about her vision on the Saturday morning.
Great.
So that should be good. She's going to be talking about the well-being economy vision, and followed closely by Gordon McIntyre Kemp, who's going to be giving his well-being economic approach to Scotland, and William Thompson of Scotonomics is going to be talking about the problems with the European Union's fiscal rules and economic approach as it stands at the moment, why we should not go down that route after independence. Also on the Saturday afternoon before the professor, we'll have the team from Commonweal, Robin McAlpine and Craig Dalziel, talking about mostly housing in an independent Scotland, and Professor Richard Murphy, who's going to be telling us all about what money is and is not and how it works for a currency issuing state.
Great! It just sounds like such a good program and such a good array of speakers. I mean, some of those people, we've spoken to as well. I mean, we had a chat with Philippa Whitford just not that long ago, and Colin Fox comes on. So that sounds really, really good.
A couple more people in that. Jonathan Shaffey is going to be on the Sunday, and then the Scottish Energy Group's going to be telling us what should happen to all this renewable energy. And I think not giving the game away if I say that they think it should not be sent down the wire to England. And Jim Osborne will be talking about a national pension fund, and there's a couple of other speakers on the Sunday. So
are you sure you're going to manage to get all this into 2 days? Sounds like
strict timetable, no overrunning.
Timetable, yeah. That's what
wow.
You need. So, Ian, what are you thinking about this event coming up?
Yeah, well, Tim's given a very good rundown of the detail, and I mean, in summary, I would say that what we've really got this year is that focus on the why. Why do we need our own currency? Last year we did all the nuts and bolts about setting up central bank payment system, treasury, stock exchange, etc. But now we're going to focus this year on the why. And really, I see it as a confluence of ideas, because as you've picked up yourself, we've got all the progressive political voices in Scotland over the 2 days. So this is not going to be a dry conference about currency and payment systems as such, although they will be mentioned in passing. But the focus will be on how they're taking control of our monetary policy, and putting these things in place will change the prospects for the average person in Scotland, and particularly the young people of Scotland. And we're delighted to have so much young representation here. Just before I came on the call, it's interesting that I have some builders working here at my house in Isle of Skye, and I was talking to one of the young chaps, Stephen, and he was admiring my house and saying, oh God, he said, I wish I could get a house like this one day. I said, but you're a builder, surely someday you'll be able to get your own house. He said, oh no, he said, the wages I get in the Highlands here, I'll never be able to afford a house here. So I said, well, you need to think about voting SNP and think about what we're running at the Currency Convention, because we will certainly be coming up with ideas to help people like yourselves, young people, to get the houses, whether these are a huge building programme financed by currency, our own currency, building council houses, or even reverting back to, I know my own father-in-law down in Dumfriesshire, he actually started off renting his council house, and this is in the 1950s, and the local authority were able to give him a mortgage at a fixed rate of 2.5%. His interest rate never changed. So these are the sort of new ideas that I hope we cover, new ideas at the conference, whereby, you know, if we have our own central bank in Scotland, the central bank could offer starter mortgages. We're not going to give a mortgage to Fred Goodwin for a 600,000 house in the leafy suburbs of Morningside, but there's no reason why an independent Scottish state with its own currency couldn't offer prospects of housing, either council or a fixed rate mortgage to young people as a starter home. Yeah. Less focus on the actual nuts and bolts of issuing the currency, focus on this is how it can change your life. Tim mentioned that Jim Osborne's going to talk about providing a proper state pension. I've got two daughters, they're both in their 40s, and they're already concerned about having to work till they're 75 or 80 under the Brexit Britain. And I say, well, don't stick with Brexit Britain, vote Scottish independence, because we're going to establish a proper pension system for all our young people. Again, these are the ideas in pension, ideas in housing, things that are going to make a real difference and can only be delivered with our own currency. Our own currency is the key to that better prospect.
Yeah. You know, Phil and I were coming anyway. We were definitely coming, but I'm sort of even more coming now, having, you know what I mean, having heard what's there, really. I just think that sounds great, and I do think that's going on the right track, really, to kind of go to, let's talk about what it'll be like once we are and what's possible.
When we talk about the national interest, we mean in the people's interest, the interest of the ordinary people, the majority. You know, as Tommy Sheridan recognised in 2014, we're never going to get independence by getting the Morningsiders out of their homes in the leafy suburbs. We're going to mobilise the people who live in the schemes and the estates, the people who have been disenfranchised for years, and we have to offer them a better future. Not hope, as the SNP rather lamely refer to hope without defining what that means. We define hope as giving people decent jobs, decent wages, decent housing, decent pensions.
Yeah, it's solutions we want, isn't it? Not hope.
Yeah,
we actually want to fix things.
Solutions. That's a really good way of putting it, Fiona. Yeah, solutions. I mean, I suppose last year the Labour Party had, in terms of Westminster and running the UK, they had their chance, and as far as I can see, they've kind of squandered it, really.
I heard Starmer saying the SNP are a party who want Britain to fail. That's the opposite, actually, because SNP, I would hope, and certainly the independence movement in Scotland, want Britain to prosper. And we want them to prosper by showing through Scottish independence how things can be done better and more effectively in an independent Scottish state. I think it would be a great thing for the rest of Britain, and England in particular, were Scotland to be independent.
Yeah, and we want good neighbours as well. We don't want a basket case next door. We want them to do well as well.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's only by having a political independence and monetary independence that we can really do the things that need to be done to rebuild the industrial base of Scotland, because that's what's required. We've just lost Grangemouth, Which other oil-producing country in the world would allow this to happen? It happened on UK Labour's watch. They did nothing to save it. While in England, they're saving steel plants, they're saving Jaguar Land Rover, they're saving oil refineries. The UK government is a government of England. Scotland is an economic colony to be exploited and extracted from. It's, if people haven't realised this yet, just wait until Nigel and Reform UK come in, because it's not Reform UK, it's Reform England is his party.
Indeed, that's those are good points as well. And when it comes to setting up our own currency, I mean, we know from Dr. Tim Rideout that it's not that difficult a job to do it. So really good to chat to both of you. We're really looking forward to to be coming along at the conference. Thanks for coming, and anyone else who's watching it just now, go and get your tickets. There'll
be a link.
Well, thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
you're very welcome. Welcome to our guests, Lynne Dougan and Neil Haston, who, if you go to any of the Indy marches and events, you will know Lynne and Neil because of the Yes Slates and Yes Stones. This is something a bit new for the Indy movement, I think. I'm not aware of one before. This is our first art exhibition, Indy Art. So tell us, where did you get the idea for it?
Well, Neil for years has been collecting art, and obviously as we got more and more involved in the independence movement and the Yes Stones, and you were seeing the art created by people painting on stones and finding out, well, they were amateur artists and they did other stuff, on their own. And Neil's an avid collector of art. You can maybe see the pictures behind us here. So he's just started collecting pieces, saying, I'm going to have an exhibition at some point. I'm going to have an exhibition. Unfortunately, there was COVID and just delays put it in. So that was the whole idea, that we could showcase the artwork. So we finally got around to finding a venue and have enough art to put on display and for sale.
It's in a gallery called Resonate Together, which is in Alloa. It's like a community enterprise. It's been running for a couple of years. It's a charity in itself. It does a lot of good in the community. It's a brilliant place to have exhibitions and stuff. It's about half a mile from the railway station, and on the day we hope to assist people if there's anyone needing a wee taxi drive up the road. It's absolutely perfect for what we were looking for, and because it's a charity, we're going to donate some of the proceeds, about half probably of everything on sale, to Resonate themselves, because they're desperate for money like any charity is. And then we're going to ask for suggestions for other Scottish charities for the remainder of the money raised. And this could be thousands of pounds, actually, because there's about 80 paintings or artworks so far, and more are coming in every day as I speak.
I'll just put some up so we can have a look at them as you're talking to us. So this is just a selection of some of the art. Sorry, carry on, Neil.
Yeah, so a lot of the art is been in my cupboard for about 6 years. So there's a huge number of people who contributed. I've framed quite a lot through the years.
The frames are beautiful, actually. They look really nice.
Yeah, the framers are excellent for doing slates in particular, because your Yes Stones and Yes Slates, a lot of them are on slate as well. We will have the Yes Stones there. We will have the Yes Slates display there as well. And everyone who goes, the minute you get in the door, you'll get a free raffle ticket for the slate that covers this video. So you've got a good reason to go, just to get something for nothing, if you like. Some of them are very obviously about Scottish independence, and some of them not so. Some of them are just landscapes of Scottish views.
Scenery, yeah.
But you'll recognise, I mean, I've just recognised umpteen different people there, many of whom I haven't seen for a long time. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone again at the exhibition.
Fab. Do you think some of the artists are going to be there as well? Are they going to?
Yes, most definitely. Lots of the artists will be there.
They're all quite excited as well to have the opportunity to see all the art together in one place, not in a windy field somewhere where we're at the end of a rally. That's it. And it's on for 4 days. So people have got options as to when they come. So it's on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, which gives people, kids can come along as well. We're having our infamous boulders and blethers sessions where people get to come along and try doing a bit of the artwork themselves. So we're prepping some stones ready for them to paint on, and providing the paint, or the quite often the work's being done with acrylic paint pens. So we'll have them available and some examples for people to try themselves and do that. That's always a bit of fun. So as Neil says, the venue's ideal for that because it's got a couple of rooms in it. The biggest room we'll probably use for the art display. There's a kind of ante-room off that, was actually before that, but there's a room where when they do events there, they can set up a week in a cafe. So we're going to put the Yes Slates in there, so people can sit and look at the Yes Slates while they're having coffee and cake and a wee blether. And then in the third room will be the boulders and blethers, and there will be times when there's someone in kind of leading it, kind of guiding it, and there'll be other times where it's just, well, you can just go in and have a shot, have a look around at things. I'll put up some instructions. I did it before when we've hosted boulders and blethers. I kind of, here's 5 steps to draw a Highland cow on a stone, and initially it looks like it does look like a brown blob to start with, but as you add bits on it, then by the end of the process you've got a wee Highland cow on your stone. And the same for a thistle. It's a kind of step by step. So
it should be a bit of fun.
That should be good. I'm going to come. So I've never done any of the trying stones. Although whenever I see Fiona's and other people's, I think, it'd be good to have a try of that. So I thought, I'll definitely go and go to one of the. Hopefully there'll be someone there to tell me what to do. But I have got a thought for just a very simple. I thought I'd better start off with something simple. So so I just kind of thought I could start off with this. This would be simple to do, wouldn't it?
Yes. Got to set your standards high, Marlene. You've got to have a question.
Yeah, maybe a bit too far for a complete beginner, but
I don't think so. I've actually got a template for the kind of knot work like that. And once you've done the outline of it, and then you start kind of filling it in, you kind of get into the rhythm of like it's over, then it's under.
It's under. Yeah.
Maybe start with a big rock.
Maybe start with a big rock. I know. I mean that took me 2 minutes on Canva. I guess it would take an awful lot longer to actually do. I mean, I have one or two of the artists do use Celtic knots, don't they? And they're just stunningly beautiful. Really lovely.
The other thing about it as well is it's very therapeutic. Just sitting there painting away and chatting. It's really nice. And again, it's like what we always say about the stones is it's that opportunity to have a non-confrontational conversations. We're not saying we're not there to ram independence down people's throats. We're saying, come along and look what some of the independence movement are doing, how we're positive about our country and our future, and come along and have a chat about it. And yeah, you might want to ask some questions. We might be able to answer or point you in the direction of getting an answer, but it's done in a way that it's nice.
The slates are going to be there, aren't they? This is the full display. And I always laugh at this. This is the picture that was in the National. I think you guys do all the work of humping them around and storing them. I happened to stand behind it for 10 seconds and I ended up in the National.
But the slates are always a big pull at any events, because it is quite a spectacular display. And then within that, when you look at the individual slates, you can see the real artistry of some people. And then there's people who are passionate about getting the message about. They say, I'm not artists, but they're using crafting skills as well. And you know, loads of different styles and creations there.
That one, the E in Independence, that with a whole load of little toy cars. The kids always love that one, don't they?
Yes.
Have a go at that. Yeah.
So two of the artworks as well are in Braille, so it's a very tangible sort of thing, obviously. And I mean, there's so many artists, new works there and old works. And so the gallery wants to link, if anyone wants to sell their own or link their own gallery works in, so the gallery is quite happy to do that and promote individual artists as well.
Fantastic.
I mean, there's relevance right up to date. I mean, some of the stones and slates you'll see refer to events that happened many years ago, and some of them are right up to date. For example, we've got a huge canvas on the Gaza genocide, so that's a topical one. Halloween is obviously on the first day, so there's several of the pictures have that kind of element to them. So we have
a kind of spooky theme.
Yeah, so we've got a great one of Mary Shelley, which
good,
Mary Shelley in Dundee, and we have others.
Nosferatu,
yeah. And with the stones, we can do pumpkin-y stone designs on the 31st, can't we? That's always a favourite.
I'm going to go and get a pumpkin stone just for a reference.
So you'll see as well, there's posters in it as well, and these are original artworks. So there's several posters. There's one by the Commonweal commissioned about Trident. There's two others from the Colton Bookshop. And the owner there, he made these posters up himself and he donated them for charity.
Oh, that's brilliant. I was wondering whether I should have given you that one of Lenin that I've got in the kitchen. You could have framed that one. Oh, that's brilliant. I love that
fantastic. One. That is fantastic.
I stick that out of the front door on Halloween to any of the neighbours' kids that are coming round.
Well, I've got a Halloween stone that Fiona did, but it's about that size really. So I could still put it out.
This was just so it doesn't get nicked.
Yes, yeah.
I'm lucky off with it.
Obviously, we'd like a musical backdrop to this video that you've compiled for us, and actually we would like to invite musicians to the event as well and have a wee sing song going on in the background.
We're hoping as well that some of the Suralva pipe band might come along, because quite a lot of them actually paint stones as well. They're part of the Yes Stones group.
So at Carter Bar, where they leave a lot of the stones, because a couple of them from the borders there, that's one of the most popular sites for people finding stones and then reposting them on social media.
Yeah, it's great.
Brilliant.
Yes.
It's free. That's something that we need to say. You don't need to book tickets or anything. Just drop in anytime. And what hours is it on for the 4 days?
So at the moment, we're setting it as 10:30 till 4:30. We might change that. The gallery is quite flexible. If they think people are enjoying themselves and they have an opportunity perhaps to extend it for a couple of hours to get the music going and stuff like that, then that's a possibility. We'll have more information as we gain more information. So I'll be posting lots of stuff, and I'll always be tagging Resonate together in with that. So I suppose my Facebook profile is maybe the best place to see stuff, but it'll be on Yes Stones, Yes Slates, and absolutely everywhere we can share it.
Yeah.
Tag us in. We'll get it out on our podcast social media as well.
For people that might be driving there, is there somewhere to park around at Resonate?
Yeah, there's a reasonable amount of parking nearby, like literally right outside the place. And as Neil says, it's only about half a mile from the train station. It's a fairly straightforward walk from the train station to get there. And the other thing as well is it's a dog-friendly place. So if people are bringing the dogs along, that's fine. But also where we are, you're next to a road that leads you up to Gartmore Dam. So if people want to come along, have a wee wander around, take their dog up for a walk and come back, then they're not too far to get up to Gartmore Dam and go for a walk. We were also thinking of pulling together other things that are not maybe on or available in the locality, so that if people do come, if they've come from quite far, they might not want to just come and spend, we're going for an hour and a half and look at that. Well, let's go do something else. So I'm trying to pull together information about, you can go here, you can go there. Because it's Alloa, it's fairly, central. If people wanted to go to Wallace Monument, Campus Kenneth Abbey, there's lots of things around people could go and have a look at as well.
I'll maybe put a thing up at Resonate on the wall so people can see where they can go for a wee walk with the dogs.
Oh, that'd be really good. Yeah.
Great. Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. It's one of the things I've always fancied doing, is a sort of art exhibition. It just seems like a really fun thing to do.
Especially when Neil's done all the hard work in behind.
That's even better.
Even better.
It's not been easy to find the gallery, I have to say, as well. With the connection between politics, a lot of galleries just switch off straight away. I think that historically art's been so important in political history.
I know.
A lot of galleries will just not touch it with a barge pole. But this is Scottish independent artists, and so it's their own private work as well as the sort of slight slant of Scottish independence, which is obvious to anybody.
Yep.
Okay,
excellent. Thank you very much.
Scottish CND have got a conference on as well. Theirs is on the 1st of November in Glasgow. So we've got a tiny little promo video from them, which we're just going to play now, and then we'll give you the details.
Last year alone, the UK spent £10.9 billion on nuclear weapons. Now that's a lot of money for weapons that have no moral, legal or military justification ever to be used. And that cost is only going to go up as the UK government commits to building obscenely expensive nuclear submarines, more nuclear warheads and spending billions on US fighter jets to carry US nuclear weapons. And the Prime Minister keeps committing to higher and higher military spending, with plans to hike the MOD budget by £30 billion over the coming years. That's £30,000 million. Meanwhile, the government have been cutting state spending left, right and centre, taking support away from pensioners, sick and disabled citizens, and slashing their foreign aid programmes. They're now even considering raising the pension age even further so that people like me might not ever get to retire. The dynamic is simple. Building nuclear weapons is a wealth transfer. Our taxes pay for them while the government destroys our welfare system to accommodate massive nuclear costs. And meanwhile, arms companies like Rolls-Royce, Babcock and BAE Systems can line their coffers with public money that should be invested in our society. And as a consequence, we in Scotland get a big nuclear target on our backs on our west coast. A different future for Scotland is possible, one where we build for peace and prosperity rather than nuclear militarism. But first, we need the courage to imagine what that Scotland could look like. So join Scottish CND and the Scottish Peace Movement in Glasgow on Saturday the 1st of November. Understand the threats that nuclear weapons pose to Scotland and help us bring about a brighter future without them.
So there you go, nice and succinct there.
Yeah.
And just in case you didn't catch those details, it's the 1st of November, 10 till 4. It's at Adelaide Place Baptist Church, which is a lovely venue. We've been there several times, Bath Street, Glasgow. And again, we will put the link for tickets at the bottom of this video. Hello and welcome to William Duguid. William, you are going to tell us about the upcoming Independence Forum for Scotland event. So over to you.
This is the autumn convention, and it will be in Glasgow at the Adelaide Place venue in Bath Street on Saturday the 8th of November from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now you can arrive a wee bit early to get registered. The venue we chose after some searching. It was surprisingly difficult to find what we regarded as a decent place in Glasgow that was the right size. But what it's got is tremendous audio-visual facilities, and it's got the possibility of live streaming, which we intend to explore. It does mean it's a slightly different convention from what we've seen before, more of actual talking from the stage and from the audience to the stage, rather than breaking into discussion groups, which obviously doesn't live stream all that well. But like everything else we've been doing, it's a wee bit of an experiment. We're trying to get together a track record of finding out what works and what doesn't work. So we started off in Edinburgh, and that was an interesting enough thing, but we, I think, stepped it up a bit in Perth, and we hope to do the same in Glasgow. So what will we be talking about? The main thing, which I'll get to in a wee minute, is that we'll be talking about routes to independence during the afternoon session. We thought we would have to get round to that eventually because a lot of people were asking for it. It's lovely to be talking about things in future Scotland and how it might work, etc., etc. But without actually having some discussion about how you become independent, people thought that it didn't all fit together. So we will certainly do that during the afternoon session, and I'll describe that in a wee bit of detail in a wee minute. Before that, we've got our usual cultural side of things, which we always start off with. And what we'll do this time is we've got the Macker. Peter Mackay is the anglicised version, and I honestly can't reliably pronounce the Gaelic version of his name. Sorry, Peter. But he will talk to us about what it is to be a Scot today, and that'll be sort of rooted in his own experiences as Macker and how that's been for him, I guess, and just that the effect on his effect on the cultural scene. We've then got Jim Osborne for the second half of the morning talking about pensions, and he's written a fair number of articles recently about that in the National and also on the Scottish Currency Group website. So there's a fair bit about, and he'll be pulling all of that together. But also, I hope, speaking about the fact that pensions in 2014 were one of Better Together's big weapons when they went about saying, well, you become independent, you will only get your state pension, and all your other pensions will be terrible, and all that sort of thing. And Jim has a scheme for a national pension fund that I think would be robust enough to be a solid answer to that. So I think we need to explore that and how that sort of fits into the general picture. So that's the morning, and that's a reasonably good start. But the afternoon is what we devote to the routes to independence. And what we want to do is just to get an idea of what's out there and to try and find some common ground. We don't think for a moment we're going to arrive at a definitive answer to how to get independence, but we do hope to have people who might have differing views about how to gain independence in the same room, listening to each other and relating to each other, and becoming aware that, maybe those other guys are on the same side and they have something, rather than go into our various silos as we so often do. So that's really the broad brush sort of hope for that session. So we've got to start off, we've got Professor Aileen McHarg, who is something of an expert on constitutional law, and she is going to give us an objective academic appraisal of the various routes to independence. And that gets us started. We'll have her back later because obviously since she starts, she then gets the chance to be contradicted by everybody, and she needs the right to reply. So we'll have her later on, as you'll find out, as well. But we'll then move on to a series of shorter presentations. So we've got Greg McCara, who's got a bit of a helicopter view of things from his experience with the Scottish Independence Foundation. And he'll be picking up on some of the points that Aileen McHarg makes and how they translate into the practical world of the independence campaign. Greg and Aileen will be in touch with each other, hopefully talking it over so they don't sort of inadvertently overlap. So 20 minutes on that, half of which at least will be questions from the audience. Then we have Peter Bell, who's got a very individual way of looking at it, Scottish UDI, and puts it across quite authoritatively now on his very regular podcast, and he puts a lot of work into it. And I've had a long chat about what he can bring to it with him, and he'll get his 20 minutes. And that might be interesting for some people, because that's one of the things where people say, oh, wait a minute, not sure about that. Well, let's hear it and let's see what we think about it, and let's pick out of it what the common ground actually is. Finally, we couldn't let the afternoon go in this section anyway without hearing from Salvo and Liberation, because there's a lot going on. They've just been in Geneva, as you will know, and there are more discussions to take place at the UN during October. So we're not quite sure who will represent Salvo. We very much hope it will be Sarah Salyers, but her diary is extremely packed at the minute. But there will certainly be somebody who was in Geneva, I hope, that will be able to tell us really how that went, how it fits into what their overall aims are, and to answer questions on how it's going. So that's a further 20 minutes. So it's very much, it's almost like a speed dating, isn't it, for various independence things, but never mind. But the important thing is that people get to hear and people get to question. Then after a wee comfort break, because you'll need a comfort break after all that, there's going to be an hour-long panel discussion. And for the panel, we've got Laura Webster to chair it, Laura of the National, the editor of the National. And on the panel, we've got a mixture. It's got a fair amount of intellectual heft, and that's important, I think, because that's the point at which the audience will be supplying the questions. So we've got Aileen McHarg back again. So that's her right of reply for anything that's interposed between what she said before and what she's going to say now. We've got blogger Leah Gunn Barrett, who writes the Dear Scotland Substack and has some very definite views of things. We have Alex Neil, who's one of the leading lights in the newly forming Yes United for Independence movement, and also has his own experience as an MSP, etc., to bring. And we have a Glasgow lawyer, and now he describes himself as part-time academic, Ewan Kennedy, who's not such a Wheel Kent face, but also has quite a fair bit to bring, and very definite ideas about how it might be done. So I think there'll be a lot going on in that discussion panel that's going to maintain the interest of the audience. And that's the point at which things could get really feisty and interesting. And then to pull it all together, we'll have Simon Forrest, who's been associated with IFS and with Energy Scotland for a while and is also a leading light of Yes United. But Simon was known to us long before Yes United ever happened. And he will pull it all together with a 10-minute summing up. And assuming there hasn't been carnage, we'll then go home and think about it. And then, of course, the important thing is the follow-up. Because hopefully a lot of that will have worked out with the live streaming, which will probably be on YouTube. I shall find out about that when I visit the venue again in a couple of weeks and get the actual nitty-gritty of it done. But also will be the film of it will be available afterwards for us to put up on the website and to just publicise and make sure that people get to hear it that didn't get to hear it on the day. Because that's the important thing, not just to do it, but to say we've done it and say why it matters that we've done it. So that's the plan for the third and final one of 2025. There'll be a programme in 2026.
That was a fairly comprehensive summary. Well done for getting all that out. It sounds very, very interesting, as they all have been so far. And I think the value to me, to the ones I've been to, has been that conversation that's taken place, roundtables and between people of different, very strongly held views. I think that point you made about, realise we're all on the same side is something that often gets forgotten in the passion to put your own view across. We came up with this analogy. It's like testing the fences. It doesn't matter that we've got 10 different approaches on the go. One of them's going to work. But I do wonder if we're missing the mainstream view there in terms of the political parties also have views of what the route is to independence.
Well, we famously been non-political party, and that's part of the thing. But the other thing is that right now, we don't exactly know what's going to happen at the SNP conference in a couple of weeks' time.
No.
And I'm sure, certainly Greg McCarroll will pick up on any aspect of that, because he's effectively playing sweeper for us, because so much is uncertain about where things go forward. We might have to concoct a number of Plan B escapades to sweep that up. But yeah, we're not ignoring it. I think, to be absolutely fair, most people in the room will think, well, 2026, whatever happens, isn't going to get us there. Hopefully, it will nudge us further along the road towards it. And so hopefully that will work itself out. But yeah, it's not something we can totally ignore, particularly if something of interest comes up.
Indeed. And the other thing that just happened was Starmer coming out and saying, absolutely, we're not getting another referendum, full stop. And never mind if that, whether the SNP get a majority, whether they get a complete 100% turnout, that just seems to be his very undemocratic position. So I kind of wonder if SNP themselves are going to have to come up with a Plan B, quite sharpish.
Well, there are a number of them, of course, who do want to come up with some sort of Plan B, and that's going to be what makes the conference so interesting. I shouldn't be there because I'm not a member. But I know some people who are, and I know some people who will be there. So we shall see, and we'll certainly know pretty sharpish afterwards. The very fact that Keir Starmer is looking like he's going to be denying Scotland's right to decide, I should have said, our starting point for the discussion on independence is that Scotland does have the right to decide, and it's just a matter of working out how reasonably and effectively to exercise it. And that becomes more of a challenge, of course, if Starmer's building the brick wall, but it's not impossible. I think the news for the independence movement, though, is that in order for anything to work, we have got to be better at persuading people of the merits of independence. We've got to break out of this 50% and just above, and find a way through to the people that aren't currently listening to us. And we will find a way, because the ways are out there.
That point you've made about whatever you want the outcome to be, it's Scotland's right to decide. Surely that is one thing that can unite us all, whatever our different views are on
Absolutely.
the route.
Yeah. But there are other things as a movement we can do to be bringing people across to the idea. The leaflet that Believe in Scotland just released on energy, and the iSwitch leaflet.
Yes.
Admittedly, if it comes through your door, you think it's a sort of commercial thing, but it actually makes a very good point, and that was proving very, very effective for us on our last stall, which coincided with the launch of the leaflet and Believe in Scotland doing a day of action in Perth. That's wearing my Perth and Kinross hub hat, which of course is, I wear many hats, not just an IFS hat, so that's one. So there will be other topics like that, and the more we hear from the whole system in Westminster and the other things that are going on in the world, we need to have some control over our lives as a nation, because otherwise we're getting dragged through in people's coattails, and that's not going to work for us. And people subconsciously realise that, but they feel uncertain that we can actually do it, and we have to be positive about how we can do it. A lot of work's gone in over the last 10, 11 years, huge amount of work from various folks, the Scottish Currency Group, the Energy Group that's just started up, Common Wheel for almost the whole of that period. Compared to 2014, we know so much more about what is possible, and that's one of the things, of course, that up till now and in future we're pursuing with these conventions. We are looking at Scotland's future and how it can work better than it does now. Originally, the idea was to have both independent supporters and non-independent supporters along. I would like to realise that dream in due course, but right now, those who don't support independence don't really want to come along to the convention. One thing we will be doing this time in November is we're going to be inviting a number, probably about 24 or so, of Glasgow students along, specifically, ostensibly to observe, but I bet they don't want to just observe. So we'll try and have a microphone around them. I should also mention on the layout side of things, Adelaide Place has got a ground floor, which holds about 75 people or thereabouts, and we have filled that, but it has an extensive balcony. And if we can get enough microphones, we will get a couple of microphones up there. So if you end up booking, we'll probably put you in the balcony, but we will get to you and you will get your say, and you won't hopefully just be observing.
It does sound like it's going to be another really worthwhile, very interesting day for those who are there, but also for anybody who's not able to be there. Being able to watch it on live stream is great, or on follow up.
Well, we hope all that side of things works out. So
yes.
Confident that it will, but we want to have the discussions out there, and we want the Yes movement to be discussing things in a positive way. And if we can contribute to that, that's great.
Hopefully there's something there out of that selection that you're going to enjoy. Maybe come to more than one. We'll be at 3 of them, I think.
We'll be at least at 3 of them, and it's been good. I've really enjoyed doing it. It's like going to the cinema and you see all the trailers for what's coming up, isn't it? It's a bit like a trailer. Yeah.
Not quite as much popcorn as I would have liked, but
that's true.
Apart from that, next time we'll get that organised.
Yeah, okay then. Great.
Anyway, come to it.
Bye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to make sure you're following us and subscribe to us, then you get notified every time we put something new out, so you don't miss anything. That would be great. Also, you can click the little bell if you're watching on YouTube.
And sign up for our mailing list. You can do that from the website, and we always send one out at the beginning of each month to tell you what's happening. Last but not least, you can buy us a coffee on coffee.com.